for anyone who's unable to make it or who has to leave early, but I thoroughly recommend sticking with it for the 90 minutes. You'll get a lot out of this session. If you've never been through Scottish Edge before, this is why this is designed. So welcome. This is the round 27 of the competition we're in now. This is the application workshop, as the title says, and this session has been specifically designed and kind of tailored over the years to help all our applicants submit the best possible application they can. So we're going to give you a lot of information today, all based around the application, the completion of the application, the pitch video, and everything else around about that. So we're going to talk to you about a lot of stuff. Almost everything we're going to talk about is already on our website. A lot of it is in our competition brochure. If you haven't downloaded the competition brochure yet, feel free, go to scottishedge.com and download the competition brochure. But we'll obviously send everyone a copy of the recording of today. If you want to refer back to any points, please feel free. So just a bit of housekeeping. If we could all just stay on mute, please, just to make sure there is no background interference. You can keep your cameras on if you're comfortable. And the way we'll do Q&A for today's session is we'll do the majority of the Q&A at the end, because we find that the content that we have created answers a lot of your questions as we go. However, if I get to a section and I give you content, or I talk about a part of the process, and you've still got a question at that point, just pop it in the chat. Okay? Jack will be monitoring the chat throughout this morning, and he will just quickly fire off answers to any individual questions. But the majority of the questions we should have answered by the end of this session. And at that point, we can open up to, open mic Q&A or chat Q&A as well. We've got a guest with us today. We've got Ewan Bell from Zero Waste Scotland. Ewan's going to join us in a few minutes and is going to talk to you about circularity, because we build the circular economy ideals into our application form. And if you've been in the application form already, you'll have seen some of this, but Ewan's going to talk and give you some hints and tips around the circular economy and how best to communicate that for your application as well. Okay, let's get moving. Jack, if you want to do a wee quick introduction, please.
Yeah, hi there. I'm Jack. I oversee marketing and comms at Edge. So if you are successful in the competition, you'll hear a bit more from me in terms of how your status as a finalist and then eventually perhaps a winner is promoted and what we sort of need for you in that capacity. But yeah, so I'll be on the chat for anyone who has a question through, as Kev said. We'll deal with the majority at the end, but if there's anything that pops up throughout that you're kind of curious about, you can just pop it in the chat and we'll answer those as they come in. Kev, back to you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jack. Okay, today we're going to talk about what is Scottish Edge. If this is your first time coming into the competition, we'll talk to you about what we do, why we exist, who we are. I'll talk you through the categories you can apply for, and also talk about eligibility. We'll talk about the key dates of the competition itself. Really important to know the dates coming up. How to apply. We'll give you lots of information on the application itself, the assessment process, what happens to your application, and then we've got lots of top tips, about the application form, the content you put in there, the video as well, and then we've got Q&A at the end. Okay, so Scottish Edge, who are we? We are a community interest company. We have been in existence for over 12 years now, and we have been set up to specifically fund early stage companies. So these are companies that are pre-trading or less than 5 years trading, all based in Scotland. Scottish Edge exists to fund Scottish businesses. Businesses are going to grow here in Scotland, they're going to generate revenue here, therefore pay taxes in Scotland, and also create well-paid jobs. Sustainable, well-paid jobs. That's why we exist, and we've been doing it for 12 years. And our funding model and our customer sits in a group of customers who, traditionally can be too early for investors and too high risk for banks. So we create this funding model and this competition process where we will have 1.5 million of funding to award in this round. And we will take all the applications and it'll all go through the process which I'll explain. And then the winners will be chosen at the end of that, and the winners will be receiving grants and loan grant awards. So we exist to identify and fund and support the next upcoming innovative high growth potential entrepreneurial talent in Scotland. We are open to all sectors. So we are sector agnostic. We'll look at any sector, we'll look at any business across Scotland, and any diversity. We'll look at any idea at any stage, as long as it's pre-trading or it's no more than 5 years of trading history. Now, I've said the word trading a few times. I'm just going to clarify what we mean by trading. Trading is actually taking revenue from paid customers. Okay, it's a common question that comes up. What does trading mean? I incorporated my business 5 years ago. Does that mean I'm trading? No. If you haven't taken any revenue from paid customers, that's not trading. Trading is taking revenue from paid customers. So we're open to all sectors, but early stage companies. During the Scottish Edge process, you'll receive detailed feedback at every stage. So if you go into the first stage, you get feedback from there. Depending on your journey, which we'll talk about, you'll get feedback at every stage of the process. And that feedback is going to be helpful, actionable, constructive feedback that you can take away from this process. And it can help you strengthen your business for a future Edge application, or strengthen it for another funding mechanism, or just your business plan in general. So you'll always get detailed feedback at every stage. We put in lots of support for our applicants. We're doing this today, as we always do. We've got the competition brochure, we've got the website, there's lots of information there. Completing the Scottish Edge application is not a dark art, and we give you everything you need to make a good job of it. It's up to you to spend the time, plan it, execute it, and deliver the best you can be. This is a competition, and this is a tough competition, but you'll learn a hell of a lot by doing it. You'll be asked probably questions in your application form you've never been asked before, or you've not been asked in a very long time. So it gets you thinking in real detail about your business. And the amount of people that tell us that, the feedback and the support and what they learn from going through Edge sometimes is actually more valuable than the cash, because some people can actually learn how much they know, and more importantly, how much they don't know about their business. And that then strengthens them for future. Scottish Edge, we work in a very big network. We are only a team of 8 people. But we do 1.5 million each round. We do that twice per year. And we also do a regional Edge competition, and that's an additional £400,000 in funding. So we run 3 competitions with 8 people. So we rely very heavily on the Scottish Business Ecosystem Network. And we rely on that network we'll identify the winners, we will fund them, we'll get them onboarded, we'll get them ready, and then we'll plug them into the network wherever they need to go. So whether that's Zero Waste Scotland, whether that's Scottish Enterprise, whichever mechanism that the applicant needs to connect to, we'll help facilitate that and plug you into that network, because it's that strong network that's really going to give you that acceleration for your business. We are flexible funders. Part of our awards for the Scottish Edge category and for the Social Edge has got a loan element. If you're coming in for Young Edge or Wildcard Edge, they're grants only. But for the Social Edge and for the Scottish Edge, these have got loans in them. And we're flexible funders with that. Now, we do loans, loan grant mixes in some of our awards, but I don't see Scottish Edge as a bank. I see us as a business support mechanism with a lending element. Okay, and the lending element is really, really important to Scottish Edge. Because the loans have got interest on them, we take the interest from that loan and we recycle that, and we give out more awards to businesses. So we don't hoard all this cash, because we're a community interest company. That cash gets recycled and it goes out to new winners on a constant basis. But we can be super flexible with the funding as well, in terms of what stage the business is at. And if you've got any challenges with your cash flow, business is challenging at the best of times, but even more so this year coming is going to be a challenging year for businesses as well. So we are super flexible and super supportive with anyone who's got a loan with Scottish Edge. And finally, that's our 4 kind of founding support partners. So Royal Bank of Scotland, they put in the loan funding back in 2012 to get the rolling loan fund started. The Hunter Foundation have supported us throughout that time as well, through the 12 years, supporting initially with some operating costs. But now the Hunter Foundation supports us with access to their sister programme, the Scale Up Scotland and Pre-Scale Up programme, and a lot of our winners go through that as well. Scottish Government has always been there from the start. Scottish Government provides the grant funding for the majority of our awards, as do Scottish Enterprise. They provide some grant funding for awards, and they also provide access to experts to help grow your business as well. So that's kind of 4 founding partners that we've been working with over the last 12 years. So what have we achieved as an organisation? As you can see, we've seen over 6,000 applications. That's a lot of businesses. That's a lot of pitches. We've supported 739 winning businesses, and I think probably in the region of 600, 550 to 600 are still trading today. So it's a good success rate. We have given out, we've awarded almost 31 million in funding over those 12 years, and our winners cover all corners of Scotland. So we've got everything from the Isles to the Borders to Aberdeen and beyond. The whole everywhere in Scotland has got Edge winners in it somewhere. So that's why we exist, to fund these businesses. So competition categories, I touched on it a second ago. We've got the Scottish Edge, which is the main top awards, Social Edge, Young Edge, and Wildcard Edge. So I'm going to break these down for you now. If you haven't looked at the portal, if you haven't started your process, these are the kind of, you'll have to pick one of these four to apply to, and you can't apply to more than one. So you'll have to decide how much funding you need, what type of funding you need, what age your founder is, and if you're pre-trading. That'll help decide which category you go into. So let's start at the top. Scottish Edge category, the main Edge category, up to £100,000 in funding. That's a 30% grant and a 70% loan. So if you come into the Scottish Edge category and you secure 100k, you're taking on £70,000 worth of debt. So bear that in mind. We'll talk about debt, we'll talk about loans, we'll talk about payments in a little while. Now, the type of company structure you need to apply to Scottish Edge, it has to be a registered business entity. It's got to be a limited company, a social enterprise, a KIC, or a charity. And the reason for that is, if you are successful in the funding, it's got a loan. And a loan has to sit against a registered business entity. It can't sit against a sole trader. So that's why it's important to understand that. If you need the 100k or you need, 50, 60, 70, 80k, whatever it is you need, that'll have a loan element, and you have to be a registered business entity, a limited company, so on and so forth. If you're applying to the Social Edge category, must be an asset locked social enterprise. So that must be in your articles of association, that you're a not-for-profit, you're asset locked, and everything that the social enterprise does gets regenerated back into that social enterprise. The top award for the social is 75,000. However, the loan grant split is flipped. So for the Social Edge only, it's 70% grant and 30% loan. So the ratio is flipped compared to the main Edge. That's funded by the People's Postcode Lottery, who support us with the funding for this award. And that's specifically there because they want to make sure that an early stage social enterprise, the debt burden is reduced slightly to help them get to a profitable business stage. And that's supported by the People's Postcode Lottery, who fund this award. So it's an important distinction here. Scottish Edge, 30% grant and 70% loan. Social Edge is 70% grant and 30% loan. If you're a young founder, if you're under 30 at the time of applying to Scottish Edge, you can apply for up to a £15,000 top award grant, and the majority of the awards are 10k. The type of business, you can be a business entity of some kind. You can be a limited company, social enterprise, KIC, or charity, but you can also be a sole trader or a partnership for young. So you don't need to have, a limited company on Companies House. You can, trade as a sole trader because it's a grant that goes into your business and it's not a loan. Okay, so you can be a sole trader, but you can also have a limited company set up and you trade it that way. That's absolutely fine. If you're a pre-trading, you're very early stage, you're very early development, and you need a grant, 10, 15,000 pounds to do some testing or development, then the wildcard is the category for you. Again, you can be a registered entity, it can be a limited company, social enterprise, KIC, and it can also be a sole trader or partnership. Okay. The key thing to bear in mind with the young and the wild, in fact, with all four, if you are successful, you need to have a business bank account. Not right now, but if you are successful, to draw down the funds, you have to have a business bank account. Scottish Edge funds cannot be paid into a personal bank account. So just bear that in mind if you're at the start of your journey and you don't have a business bank account. If you are successful, the funds will only be released to a business bank account across all four categories. Okay. So the journey you will go on You'll go onto the website and you'll select a category, Scottish Edge, Social, Young, or Wild. You'll then submit your application and 3-minute pitch video, which we'll talk about in more detail next. It'll go through a first stage assessment panel. All applicants will go through assessment panels where multiple people will look at your applications, and they will assess them against the assessment criteria, which we'll talk about soon, and they will choose which businesses go through to the next stage of the competition. If you apply to the Scottish Edge category, this is the flow your application and your journey will take. If you're successful at first stage, you'll then go to a semi-final. So the semi-finals, there will be 55 businesses pitching at the semi-finals. It's all done on Zoom. There's 5 semi-final days, and each business will be invited to join at a time slot, and they will pitch to 4 judges online for 3 minutes and answer 13 minutes of questions from the judges. That's a closed environment. It's online. There's no audience. It's the Scottish Edge team, the 4 judges, and the business pitching. Once all the 5 semi-finals have been completed, the finalists are then notified, and if you are in the Scottish Edge category and you get through semis, you'll be invited to pitch at the live final on the 18th, I beg your pardon, on the 11th of June, RBS Goulburn, and you'll be invited along with 23 other finalists to pitch at the final, where there's 2 final pitching sessions. There's one in the main auditorium and there's one in a specially made upstairs mezzanine floor. So there's 2 pitching events on the 11th of June, and if you're successful getting to the final, you'll pitch amongst those 24 finalists, and we'll probably have in the region probably 13, 14 winners in the Scottish Edge category from the 24 finalists. If you come through the other categories, the Social Enterprise Edge, the Young Edge, or the Wildcard Edge, we'll take the Young and the Wild first. So if you get through first stage assessment with a Young or Wild application, you'll then be invited to a final. There's no semi-final stage. You'll be invited to a final. The Young Edge has got 2 final days, and the Wildcard has got 2 final days because of the amount of applications we get. So on your final day, you could have 9, 10 other businesses you're pitching besides. And again, you'll be invited in at a time slot. You'll do it online in Zoom. You'll pitch to a panel of 4 judges. You'll answer questions for 10 minutes. And the judges at the end of the day will choose their winners. So there'll be 2 Young Edge finals. The winners will be chosen. 2 wildcard finals. The winners will be chosen. And you'll be notified immediately after those finals if you've been successful in receiving an award. If you come through the Social Enterprise Edge process, after first stage, again, you're invited to a final. The Social Enterprise category is an in-person final in Edinburgh, where the finalists will be invited along to an office in Edinburgh, pitched to a panel of 4 judges, 10 minutes of Q&A. Ewan McGarry, would you mind just going on mute, please? Sorry, thank you. So when you go through the social edge process, you'll be invited to a face-to-face. You'll pitch to the judges in the room. You'll answer questions for 10 minutes. And then at the end of that day, the judges will choose their winner, and you'll be notified immediately after that as well. So that's the journey you go on. 2 different paths. Scottish Edge at the top. You go through a semi-final. Young, Wild, and Social. You go straight to a final after first stage. We also have special category awards, and these are additional recognition awards in the main Scottish Edge category. The top one being the Scottish Enterprise Supported Future Edge Award, and that's for a business who is aligned with Scotland's future industries. And there's lots about the future industries on the Scottish Enterprise website, but these are deep tech, AI, life sciences. There's lots of different categories that Scottish Enterprise are focusing on. And if you're in one of these sectors, you can tick the box, you can apply for the Future Edge, and there's more about that on our website and competition brochure. And you can potentially apply for that one-off award of up to £150,000. There's one award of up to 150 for the Future Edge recipient. And if you are thinking of applying for that, keep in mind it is 30% grant and 70% loan. Okay, so you're over £100,000 of loan funding in that award. So if you see yourself as aligning to the Future Edge industries and you want to apply for the 150, 70% of that would be a loan if you were successful. We've got the Scottish Government supported Pathways Edge Award for leading female founded businesses. That's up to £100,000 in funding, 30% grant, 70% loan. We've got the STV Growth Edge Award. So that comes with whatever your award, whatever your cash award is, also comes with an additional £75,000 of ad spending on STV. So one business will be chosen to receive the STV Growth Edge Award. So you have your amount of funding that you get, and then you'll have £75,000 worth of ad spend to be used on STV. We've got Creative UK, Creative UK's special award for creative sector businesses, which covers a whole variety of sectors, and that's up to 100,000 as well, 30% grant, 7% loan. And we also have Zero Waste Scotland, and that's looking to fund the business that's got a real strong circular focus. Yeah, so a Circular Economy Edge Award up to £100,000 in funding, and again, 30% grant and 70% loan. And that seamlessly takes us to Ewan. Ewan, I hope I seamlessly just took that along for you to time you up there. So I'm going to hand over to Ewan, who's going to talk to you about the circular economy part of our process as well. Thank you, Ewan.
Thanks, Kevin. Yep, very seamless, very well done there. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today. My name is Ewan Bell, and I work at Zero Waste Scotland within the Circular Economy Business Support Team. Just on to the next slide, please. So within this presentation, I'll briefly cover what we mean by a circular economy and discuss the various principles and strategies that businesses can utilise to embed circularity within their business. And last but not least, I'll give some hints and tips on how to approach the circular application question and what we're looking for in your answers. So what is the circular economy? The circular economy is a shift in perspective as to how we think about products and materials, with the aim of minimising waste and keeping products and materials in use for as long as possible. Our planet is one of limited raw materials and resources, while rising numbers in population and consumption and multiple other factors, which you perhaps hear about on the news on almost a daily basis now, they all place a tremendous amount of pressure on our global supply chains, both indirectly and directly. For example, according to the 2025 Circularity Gap Report, which was published by Circle Economy, the world extracts over 100 billion tonnes of raw materials annually, yet more than 90% of materials entering the economy are virgin materials and non-renewable. Additionally, material use is projected to increase by 60% by 2060 if these current trends continue as they are. This is a prime example of our current linear economy, an economic system we've followed since the Industrial Revolution, where we extract materials from the ground, make something out of it, and once we're done with it, once it's no longer useful to it, we simply just dispose of it. This isn't sustainable, and to future-proof our economy, we cannot carry on this linear way of thinking, and by making a fundamental shift in the way we design products and services, the circular economy provides the solution required. In a circular economy, economic activity is founded on the continuous circulation of products and materials. A circular economy eliminates the concept of waste and takes a regenerative approach, prioritising resource efficiency. And the circular economy is based on the following three principles, which you can see on the slides just there: designing out waste and pollution, keeping products and materials in use for as long as possible, and regenerating our natural systems. Just over to the next slide, please. So at Zero Waste Scotland, we have identified 9 strategies or models of conducting business in a circular manner. These can also be referred to as circular economy practices. Some of these are somewhat obvious, whilst others can require a slight shift in how we think about products and services. The first model, which is circular design, focuses on taking a circular mindset from the very beginning and at the core of your product or service design. So, is a product easily repaired, or can it be constructed in a modular way to make it easier to replace parts or add on future modifications? And can those materials be easily recycled at the end of the product's useful life. Secondly, resource recovery. This is taking your own or perhaps another's waste or byproduct and turning it into something else. For example, turning brewery remnants into a cracker ingredient or utilising construction waste in bricks. But it can, of course, be much simpler than that. Thirdly, enabling technologies. This relates to new tools and systems that aid the transition to a circular economy. So circular economy doesn't always have to be about something physical. It can be about technologies that enable the circular economy as well. For example, advanced robotics, which aid recycling, or RFID tagging that allows the tracking of reusable items such as reusable cups, or even sharing platforms that enable the circulation of surplus food or products. Product as a service and leasing are similar approaches that require us to think differently about ownership. Within these models, the business retains ownership of the product and instead sells the service of the product to the individual or allows them to lease it for a specific time period. For example, hiring an outfit for a wedding. I think that's quite a good example. It's quite easy to understand there. Or even renting an appliance, such as a carpet cleaner, which I feel is becoming more and more common. You see that in supermarkets, perhaps. Remanufacturing. This is the dismantling and refurbishment of a product to match or exceed the quality of the original, extending the useful life of a product, giving that product new life beyond what we might typically imagine or foresee. Reuse is using products for as long as possible in their original form. For example, a reusable cup scheme, as I mentioned before, or second-hand markets, or even embedded returnable packaging. And repair is simply extending the life of a product by maintaining or fixing it. And this clearly relates back to product/service design and whether that product is repairable and whether it's designed in a manner that makes it easy to repair. And lastly, the sharing economy. An example of this is tool libraries, where products can be accessed easily and cheaply by multiple users, or even community peer-to-peer sharing as well. And just over to the next slide, please. So some tips for the circular application question. So you can see the question at the top there. It's been shortened down a bit, but just to keep it within the parameters of the slide and readable for you all. But essentially, the question is asking, have you built circular practices into your business offering? And if so, what key activities or processes demonstrate your circularity? So we want to see detail on your existing or proposed circular practice. So that's linking back to those 9 circular practices, which I just went through really quickly just there. So what practices does it relate to, and how does it function on a practical level? How have you embedded or intend to embed the solution into the business to ensure its success? So here we're looking at how is this going to be sustainable long term? How are you going to continue this on? Or perhaps how is this going to evolve in the future? Is it going to be embedded into your customer communication? Or is it going to be built into internal policies perhaps? Or even embedded within your supply chain? And what are the realised or anticipated savings associated with this approach? So this might be carbon savings or waste or packaging services or even water or energy. It doesn't need to be exact. A credible estimate, as I would say, is fine enough. And we're not expecting a full carbon impact assessment. We're just really focusing on to see what you think the anticipated benefits of this are in terms of waste or carbon. So it doesn't really have to be exactly carbon. It can be waste metrics if you're not sure of conversion factors. And have you received any external support or created any partnerships to help make this solution become a reality? So have you secured a solution from a like-minded business to help develop your idea, or have you received support from other advice agencies or environmental consultancies, and how has that helped you perhaps overcome any previous barriers, and how do you want to take that further? But obviously, if you've not done that, that is completely fine. But if you have, it's good to evidence that. And lastly, how long has this solution been embedded into the business? If it is not yet operational, what are your anticipated timeframes? And just over to the last slide there. So just lastly, I thought I'd include this in. Further information on the circular economy can be found at www.zerowastescotland.org.uk/business. Even if you're perhaps not interested in applying for the Circular Edge Award, but you're intrigued in the circular economy and perhaps how you could future integrate it within your business, there's some really useful business-facing guidance on that link there. And that is me. Thank you very much. Kevin, back over to you, and I'll try and hang over until the end if there's any questions.
Brilliant, Ewan. Thank you very much. Just to reiterate a few points there, Ewan, you were saying Scottish Edge invests in very early stage companies. So, everyone who goes through the process will be filling in questions about their circularity approach. So whether you're going for the Circular Economy Award or not, everyone is expected to bake this in. The real purpose behind this is, as Ewan was saying, we're not expecting a full sustainability policy. We're not expecting a carbon reduction plan. You're all early stage companies, but everyone has to start to think about how do you bake into the foundations of what you're building, circular approach, circular processes, and you're starting to think about it. You might not be delivering it right now. So as Ewan said, what's anticipated, what you're hoping to achieve. That's what you want to put into this section, because we want companies to be thinking about this approach at the very early stages. Because if you build it in at the beginning of your foundations, it's a lot easier to build upon that as well. So just bear that in mind when it comes to the impact section of your application. Okay, so let's move on. Let's look at some eligibility criteria. These are standard eligibility criteria which apply across all applicants. So the business must be pre-trading or have been trading for less than 5 years. And I talked about this at the start. Trading is generating customer revenue. People ask me, is getting a grant from Zero Waste Scotland trading? No, that's a grant. Is investment counted as trading? No. Trading is about generating revenue from paying customers. The business must be headquartered in Scotland and the founder resident in Scotland. Scottish Edge wants to work with the founders. We want them here in Scotland. We want them building businesses here. We want them headquartered here. And this is where the growth is going to come from. If you're a business that is generating sales, that's okay. But your current sales must be no more than £1 million per year. Okay, so if you're generating revenue and you need £100,000, for example, to boost your growth, as long as you're not over £1 million a year in turnover, you're still eligible. If you've raised external investment, that being equity investment, so you've got shareholders on board, you've raised some money. If you've raised less than 500,000, you are eligible. If you have raised over 250,000, so if you've raised between 250 and 5, you'd only be eligible for the loan element of the Scottish Edge Award. So you wouldn't be eligible for any grant funding if you've raised over 250,000, and that's clear in the application process as well. If you've raised more than 500, I'm afraid you're not eligible for any Scottish Edge Awards, because we feel that 500,000 is a lot of money to get your business going. So that's the ceiling for investment, and that's equity investment. We ask that 50% of the business ownership is attributed to directors actively working on the business on a day-to-day basis. Again, we want to work with the decision makers. So if you get 50% or more of the business, you're a decision maker, and the Edge team want to work with you to grow your business, to accelerate our funding into your business and move things forward. And all applicants, regardless of the category, regardless of how much they're asking for, must have ambitions to generate approximately £200,000 in new revenue, so new sales, new growth, over the 3 years after an Edge Award actually comes in. So just to reiterate that, all applicants, we want to see sales growth of an additional £200,000 in revenue, cumulative, over 3 years after an award. That's what we want the impact to start to look like. It doesn't have to be a £200,000 ceiling. It can be as much as you want, as much as you think you can actually achieve. But we're looking for everyone to take this money and start to grow their business towards that cumulative £200,000 in revenue over the 3 years after you receive an award. These are the key dates for the process. We are open for applications now, and we will close on the 25th of March at 2 p.m. That's a hard deadline. There'll be no acceptance of any applications after that point. If you're still in the middle of completing it, it will be closed off. So you will not be able to submit an application after 2 p.m. This is a 4-week window to complete this. We're now at the 11th of March, obviously, so you've still got 14 days to go. You're halfway through the application window. My advice would be, that says 25th of March there, make it the 24th. Make your own hard deadline the 24th. Don't leave it to the last minute. Because I guarantee, if you try and leave it to the 25th to finally submit, something will go wrong, you'll get called away, you'll miss the deadline, and you won't get your application in. And you'll have done all that work, and you won't get it in. So be mindful of that, 25th of March, 2 p.m. That's a drop dead date, no applications received after that. And if I was you and if I was applying, I would set my drop dead date at 24th of March. Once you've got it done, get it in, submit it. Don't mess around with it. 15th of April, you'll find out if you've been successful at the first stage of assessments. And then there's the dates at the beginning of May for the semi-finals, the 5 semi-finals, if you're going through the Scottish Edge category. There's the dates there for the Young Edge finals, 20th and 21st of May. Wildcard finals, there's 2, 27th and 28th of May. Social Enterprise final, the face-to-face on the 3rd of June. And then the main Scottish Edge finals, 2 pitching rooms in the one day, 11th of June. And then all the award winners are invited to a ceremony where they receive their trophy. And that's when the amounts of funding gets announced to the press. And we do a big splash around promoting all the winners for the round. These are on our website. You've also got a copy, you'll get a copy of the recording as well. But take down a note of that date, 25th of March, 2 p.m. If I was you, score out 25 and put 24. Just get it in as soon as you can. As soon as you're happy with it, submit it. If you go to the website, this is what you'll see. That says round 26. It will say round 27 and apply before 25th of March. Dead simple to do, scottishedge.com. Apply here. And there's lots of guidance on the website if you download the competition brochure. And also you see here on the right hand side, if you've not been on the website, if you click on start a call with Edgeworth, Edgeworth is our AI avatar, customer support, and you can have a conversation with Edgeworth and you can ask him anything about the competition process. And he'll do his best to answer as many questions as possible. And if there's anything he can't answer, forgive me, he will refer you to the info@scottishedge.com. So if you can't get an answer from Edgeworth, email info@scottishedge.com if you've got any further questions. So on our website, bottom right hand corner, you'll see the button to start a call and you can have a conversation and ask them anything about your application process, your pitch video, and everything we've talked about today, everything that's on the website. Edgeworth has got a knowledge base for, and everything in the competition brochure as well. So if you're doing your application at 10 o'clock at night, you need to ask a question, jump on. Edgeworth is 24/7. It'll be a lot quicker than waiting for myself or Jack or the info mailbox to come back to you. Once you get registered on the portal, you will click to, if you're a new applicant, you'll put in your details. If you've already registered, you'll go through the process and then you'll start to complete your application. So this is a kind of screenshot of what your review page will look like. The key thing to focus in here is the application questions boxes. There's 8 boxes there. And this is for illustration only. As you go ahead and complete your application, you don't have to sit down and complete it all in one. You can complete a section, save it, go away and come back. And as you can see in this screen grab, the funding section is complete because the person has ticked the box to say, I have completed the funding section of the application. But they haven't started value prop, team, impact, customer focus, and business growth. But they have started use of funds, but they haven't finished it. So that's just a wee visual, and you want to make sure that all those boxes are green. You've ticked all the boxes before you submit. You'll put in your video link, and you can put in a password if you like. I thoroughly recommend don't put in a password. They don't get shared with anyone except the judges and the team. You don't really need a password. It's all secure and covered by confidentiality. Sometimes if you do put in a password, it just creates more issues, but it's entirely up to you. But you definitely need a video link, 3-minute pitch video, which we'll talk about soon. And when you upload that video, we prefer if you use YouTube and set it as unlisted. So that means that only the person with the link can watch that video. And there's more guidance on how to do a video unlisted in the competition brochure and on the website. So we've got a guide there on how to complete your application. You can review and print it at the end. And then there's the sections to keep an eye on. Make sure you've got them all completed when you submit. So moving on to kind of some top tips. We've talked to you already about trading and pre-trading. What does that mean? It's really important that you select the correct button at the start of the process for your business being trading or pre-trading. Because when you do that, it will start to filter through the dates of when you started trading, and that will filter through into the projections of your sales. So really important you get that right. If you've had any problems with that, have a chat with Edward. He'll help you correct that. Any further issues with that, contact info mailbox. But trading or pre-trading, get this right at the start, and it'll help you when it comes to the finance section of the application. The judges want to see ambitious but achievable sales, profit, and job creations. So no hockey stick numbers. It's not about the biggest numbers that get funding. It's about credible numbers that get funding. So you can back it up with good assumptions. How many customers you're going to secure, how much is it going to cost for you to acquire that customer, how much you need to spend in marketing, what customer discovery have you done. All these credible backup assumptions will help the judges understand, okay, how achievable are these sales? And this visual here is an example of how you might want to break down in the breakdown box. If you want to say for instance, in your revenue in year one, you say you're going to do £12,000. You might want to put in the free text box in the sales section and break it down. I'll have 5 customers, 300 units per customer, an average £8 gives you your 12 grand, and there's your gross margin. This is just an example of how you might want to break down your sales in a little bit more detail beyond the sales and the profit and the job creation in the section itself. Don't forget to break down your costs as well. There's a section to talk about your operating costs. These can be anything, marketing, salaries. You can bundle up some other costs, equipment, IT, whatever that may be, rent, whatever it may be, buying stock. And then you've got a total, and you can potentially work out your gross profit, and your net profit and loss can be worked out from those figures. Again, these are just examples. You don't have to use this. These are just based on good applications from the past, and you might want to think about how do you give the judges every piece of information you can to help them make an informed decision on your application. So back up your figures with clear and credible assumptions. So customer growth picks up monthly, for example, as we progress through year 2 due to increased brand awareness. So that's a good assumption, and that explains the growth in sales. Average selling price will be reduced as you gain volume, so you get better buying power, for example. B2B margin is lower as bulk volume deliveries. Again, more bulk buying. Online gross margin lower despite increased selling price, as also includes shipping costs. So these are just a quick assumption lines to help the judges understand what's lying behind these numbers. So you can use examples of these, but it's always good to put some kind of assumptions beside your numbers. Final few points. Businesses must estimate their turnover, net profit and jobs over the 3-year period in the application. So we've talked about that. If your application gets through the first stage, you will need to complete a 12-month cash flow if you're in the Scottish Edge category or the Social Edge category. But we'll cover all that at a later date if you get through the first stage. All awards are paid in 2 tranches for the Scottish Edge category and the Social Edge category. Each tranche is 50% of the total funding. So if you're in the Scottish Edge and you win 100k, you'll get 50,000 up front, 35,000 of that will be loan, 15,000 will be grant, and then you'll get your second tranche of funding once you've spent the first tranche and it's all been validated. If you're applying for a Young or a Wild grant, that's released in 75% first tranche, 25% second tranche. In terms of the loans, this is a common question that comes up. So we've got an example here for you. Scottish Edge Awards, 70% loan. If you secure £100,000, it's £70,000 and 30,000 grant. Tranche 1 of your award would be £50,000, as I've explained. And from that, 35,000 would be loan and 15,000 would be grant. And then tranche two is the same. All loan repayments for a loan element award, all loan repayments start 1 month after drawing down the first tranche, and the loans are paid on the 28th of each month. And so for context, with the current interest rate of approximately 9.7% APR, if you receive a £100,000 award with 70,000 in loans, each of your loan repayments would be 729.17 per month. So if you draw down both tranches of your funding and the main edge award and you receive 100,000, you will be paying in the region of £1,458 a month in loan repayments. Bear this in mind. Bear this in mind for your cash flow. Bear this in mind for your ask of how much funding you need, what type of funding you need, and be cognizant of the fact that if you're asking for a Scottish Edge award, you've got a 70% loan. If you're asking for a Social Edge award, you've got 30%. So quickly, loan terms, this is all on our website, it's all on our brochure. We've mentioned the 9.5, 9.7 APR. 60 months or 5 years is the maximum loan repayment term. A reduced payment period may be available for pre-trading businesses, but this is discussed on a case-by-case basis. You could be a tech business that's 5 years from revenue. So if you secure funding from Scottish Edge, you'll discuss that with the relationship management team, and there may well be a reduced repayment period. We do not do payment holidays. So if you secure a Scottish Edge award, from month one of drawing down the first tranche, you will be making a contribution towards those loans. I've covered the 28th, we've done that. Interest is accrued to the date of repayment. So what that means is, yes, you'll take your loans out over 5 years, but if in year 4 you raise investment and you want to clear your loans, you can do that, and you only pay interest up to the point where the loan is cleared. So you're not penalised for the whole 5 years worth of interest. If you pay them off early, you only pay interest up to the point where you clear. And we do not take personal guarantees or any other forms of security. So in terms of commercial loan, we are a lot more flexible with this. So no personal guarantees. We're not asking you to put your house on the line here. The loan sits with the limited company, and we don't ask for any other form of security on the loan itself. So let's move on to the pitch. Pitch, if you've never done a pitch before, it's a really important part of the process. It was recently described by Edward that your 3-minute pitch is like a trailer to your business. So take your time, plan it. What is it you want to get across? It's only 3 minutes, no more than 3 minutes. It's enough time to talk about your business. If you submit a video that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 minutes long, judges won't watch it. They won't have time to watch it. They've got a lot of applications to get through. 3 minutes maximum is recommended. And what you want to get in that 3 minutes is a suggestion on screen here. So you want to do a nice introduction. You want to talk about the problem you're solving. How have you identified it? Why is it important to you? Then you can talk about your solution. What is it you've found? What is it you've created? You talk about the market size and the revenue model. You'll talk about your customers, how you're going to generate revenue, how you've analysed that, how you've validated that. You'll talk about the competition in your area, your sector. Everyone's got competition, whether it's direct or indirect. Importantly, talk about your team. So if you're a solo entrepreneur sitting on this call and you think, I'm on my own here, if you're working with Royal Bank of Scotland's Business Accelerator, if you're working with Business Gateway, if you've got a mentor, if you're working with Stack, if you're working with any other organisation, they form part of your external team. So put them in your application, because if you're getting business advice and guidance from somewhere else, put that in your application, because it shows that you're connected, it shows that you're networking, and you're getting additional support. Or if you do have a team, put down your team members, what their experience is, and more importantly, identify the skills and experience you don't have and how you're going to fill those gaps. You'll talk about attraction. So what have you managed to achieve to date without Scottish Edge funding? Where are you in your business journey? And then have a clear ask. Today you're looking for X amount of money to be able to enable you to do X, Y, and Z and grow your business. This is only a guidance on what you want to put in your pitch. I'll talk about the pitch and how to deliver it in a second. This is a guide, but essentially the judges want to hear the headlines of your business. They want to have a trailer of your business. You'll give them the headlines in 3 minutes, and then they'll dive into the application, and that's where they get all the detail. So the assessment criteria for all their applications is the same. These are the 6 key sections, and if you recall, that's the same 6 sections as was on the screenshot I showed you when you go into the portal. So you'll answer questions on your value proposition, you'll answer questions on team, impact, that's societal, environmental impact. You'll answer questions on your customer focus, business growth, and use of funds. And that's the same criteria all the way through the process that the judges will be assessing on. And we recruit assessors from all over the Scottish business ecosystem at all different levels. The assessors are given your application form and video to review and assess. And the assessors all sign confidentiality agreements. So anything you put in that application is secure and is covered by a confidentiality agreement. So again, a quick reminder of what the judges are looking for. So for your value proposition, they're looking, is the product or service clearly articulated? Is it very clear what it is you do? Is there a good awareness of the competition? Is there a clear point of difference? So what is your USP? And are the key risks understood? Everything that's on this screen are the questions you get asked in the portal. So when I said to you that completing an application is not a dark art, it's about writing down clear, concise answers that judges can follow it. They know the story, they can follow along, and they're getting the information they need to make an informed decision. So take your time, answer the questions clearly, and this is an example of the questions this is an example of the information the judges are looking for to help them move your business through to the next stage. So some top tips. Number 1 is time. Every time I do this, and I've been doing this competition process for over 3 years now, everyone leaves it to the last minute to get their application form in. Don't do that. Don't do that. It scares me, and it probably scares you, because you leave it to the last minute and then something goes wrong. My advice is when you're happy with everything that's in there, and you've got your video and you've checked everything, you've checked all the boxes and you're happy, submit it. What I see happening with applications is I see people who will have everything done, and then they'll go back in and they'll tweak, they'll change a bit, they'll start updating words, they'll change something, they'll move things around, and they start to disconnect the whole story. If you dip in and out and you keep changing things, you're going to lose the narrative of your application form, and that confuses judges. So read your content. When you're happy with the content, when you've got your pitch video there, submit it. Don't leave it to the last minute and say, oh, I'll just keep it open in case I think of something else. When you're happy with it, just put it in. It takes the pressure off you, because I see the same every single time. On the final day of the application window, it's a massive spike in applications coming in, and it's a massive spike of problems. There's no guarantee if you have a problem on the 25th of March that one of the team will be able to solve it. If you have a problem on the 24th of March, we've got a better chance of solving it before the deadline. So bear that in mind. My advice, 24th of March, get your application in. That's you done. Another 24 hours is not really going to make that much difference. So that'd be my advice. Aim for the 24th of March to get your application in. Takes the pressure off you. So again, going back to this is not a dark art. We give you everything we possibly can to help you be the best you can be. Make it easy for the assessors to understand your business, and don't leave them with unanswered questions. The questions are in the process. Answer them clearly, tell your story, let them know what they need to know. Read through the assessment criteria. Again, what are the judges looking for? Outline your USP, your point of difference. Be realistic with your financial forecasts. Talk about real customer engagement. Customer engagement and customer focus, some of the key areas that can let an application form down. So when I read an application that says 60% of the people we spoke to said this, that doesn't mean anything. Is that 60% of 10 people? 60% of 100 people? That is not quantifiable. But saying we spoke to 150 people and we asked them these 6 questions and this is what we learned, that's a lot more quantifiable in terms of customer discovery, in terms of customer validation. So think about the information you put in there for your real customer engagement. I don't want to read, and the judges don't want to read, reports and stats that have been downloaded from some website somewhere. This report says that 100,000 people in the UK have got this problem. That's not customer validation. That's a stat. So you need to talk about how you've actually spoken to your target customer. What have you learned, and how is that building your business model? Talk about what you're going to spend the money on. Simplify the breakdown, but you don't need to put in every single penny. You might group things together like IT equipment or recruitment of roles. You might have a marketing manager, you might have a CTO. Break those down, the big numbers. But anything that's like small numbers, you can just bundle them up. But make it easy to understand. Use of funding is one of the 6 key assessment criteria. The judges want to read that and say, that is a good use of funding, and that moves the business forward. So you have to tell them exactly what you're spending the money on and why it's really important for your business now to get that funding. Consider your impact intentions. So going back to that impact section of your application, Ewan talked about this earlier. So the circular economy, the social impact, think about that. Even if you're at a very early stage of your business, what do you hope to achieve in future around impact? Don't leave those sections blank. Don't stick one line in there. Take your time, think about that section as much as you think about value proposition, as much as you think about use of funds. So give each section time and put quality information in there, because the impact section is equally weighted against the other 5 assessment criteria. So it's important you take time. You can print and download your copy of your application at the end. As I showed you the button on there, you can download and print that. Double check the form before you submit and don't leave any sections blank. I guarantee there'll be people who jump on 25th of March with an hour to go and try and complete an application form. It doesn't happen. It won't work. You can see immediately it's rushed. There's stuff missing off it. There's blanks all over it. And if you submit blank sections, judges can't assess it. Simple as that. If you leave sections blank, there's nothing to read. They can't form an opinion, so they can't make a reasonable assessment of your application. So put the information in there that judges need. And we've also got additional support available for applicants with neurodivergent conditions within reason, as we're only a team of 8. We'll talk about that in a second. When it comes to the video, the judges want to hear from you, the founder. So they don't want to hear AI voices. They don't want to see avatars. They don't want to see a slide deck with a voice in the background. They want to see you. Okay? You're the founder. You're the one that they're potentially going to be moving forward to the next stage or putting money into in the future. So they want to see you, the founder. They want to see a passionate, believable entrepreneur. Showcase your product or service and don't leave the judges asking themselves, what actually is this business? So don't use jargon. Not every judge that reads your application is going to be a sector expert if it's something technical. So use plain English, understand it, explain it so anyone can understand it. You might want to involve your team or possibly your customers. That's absolutely okay, but bear in mind you've only got 3 minutes. We're not looking for Hollywood quality here, so you don't need to set up a camera rig and all fancy. That doesn't add any value. You could put your phone in your desk and you could talk to your phone for 3 minutes. You might want to add a wee slide in now and then. So you might want to edit it and put a slide in, whatever that looks like. That's absolutely okay. But most importantly, the judges want to see you. They want to see the founder. They want to see your passion for it. So be natural and engaging. You can use auto cue notes. That's absolutely okay if it helps settle your nerves. But they want to hear from you, the founder. And your application form and video makes up your combined submission. Both of those are used to form a picture of deciding if the business should go through. We talked about using unlisted for YouTube, and there's more about that in the competition brochure. And please make sure you watch your video back before you submit it, especially if you're filming outside for any reason. Make sure the sound quality is correct and make sure it works okay. So watch that video back before you add it in your application. So our winners, all applicants receive feedback, as we've talked about. More than 50% of our winners don't win in the first time of applying. So just managing expectations. A lot of them do, some don't. It's a tough competition. Winners get access to a support package by key partners. We've got 8 partners, I think, now. A couple of examples: Harper McLeod can support with legal, Johnson Carmichael with finance, James Hallam with insurance, and we've got more partners with HR, with product, and with marketing. All winners get to join the Edge alumni. So over the 600 trading businesses, you get to join that network. And all winners can get access to a dedicated relationship manager if required to help them move their business forward. So as I talked about, there is additional support from Edgeworth. You can scan that QR code at the moment if you want. That takes you through to the website, and you can have a call with Edgeworth and you can ask him anything about your application process if there's anything you get stuck with. Now, we're starting to incorporate some additional support for neurodiverse clients if anyone has got a condition. This is taken from we had a sector expert that came in and gave us these slides and talked us through some of the ways that we could potentially help. So I'm going to quickly run through some of this. But bear in mind, we're only a team of 8 people who do reasonable adjustments as best as we can. So if you want to discuss anything with us privately, you can email info@scottishedge.com and we can set up a call. But just to make you aware that Business Gateway have got a legal duty to support you if you've had an official NHS diagnosis for a neurodivergent condition. And if you go to the Access to Work, you can get some additional support there. Potentially, Access to Work can give you some budget towards a personal assistant in your business as well. And you can get family and friends to help you with your application. That's okay. Reach out to your Business Gateway advisor if you haven't done so already. And that may well be for support with your application, or it may well just be to reach out and get business advice. Go to businessgateway.com local-offices, and you can find your local office and reach out. You might want to explain that you're applying to Scottish Edge, but you need some support with an application, and they will talk you through the process and how they can support you with that as well. Now, you can use AI if you feel that using AI as a neurodivergent applicant assists you with the forming of your words, but it's only there to assist. It's not writing your application for you. If you use AI to write your application, the judges can tell, and it loses credibility. So you might use AI to start forming some words for your value proposition, but then it's up to you to start using those foundational words and you build your story around that. So yes, you can use ChatGPT to summarize and spell check, Goblin for breaking larger tasks into smaller ones, MindGrasp for record, transcribe, and summarize webinars and workshops, whatever helps you consume information. But you must be able to explain your thinking behind what you say in the application. It's your story. You have to answer questions on that story. If you are using AI, remember to switch off your tracking to keep it confidential. The judges want to hear your words, so AI can be brilliant to help you edit and research, but the final submission is your words. And you're expected to explain all parts of the business plan, so don't use something you don't understand just because it sounds good. This is your story. So you can get help from a friend or supporter to fill in the forms. There's potential for a little bit extra thinking time during your presentation if you need it. The judges, if you're doing a live pitching session, they can ask one question at a time. You can have someone to support you at a pitch if you get to the live pitching stages. And there's news on the website. If you go to scottishedge.com and our YouTube channel, you can actually see previous events taking place. That's certainly for the finals and the main events. So there's more information there. And you can see live pitches for 3 minutes and questions as well. So what we can't do, we can't write your application for you. It has to be you that does it. You can't skip any part of the application process. So everyone has to go through first stage, semi-final, pitching, Q&A. Everyone has to go through the same process. We can't guarantee everything you ask for. It would be possible for us to deliver because, again, we're a small team, and we can't extend deadlines. Deadlines are set. We'll probably have between 250 and 300 applications this round, so we have to move everyone through the process at the same timeline. Okay, that's all from me on content. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen. Jack, I'm going to bring you in and see where we're at with questions.
Hi, Kev. Yep, been a little busy little chat box. Everyone's very engaged, which is good to see. Some great questions in there. I think we got most of them. I think there's a few that I've said I'll carry over to Q&A just for yourself. So I'll just see what I've got here. I think from Lily, sorry. Yes, this was just a social enterprise one. They are not yet asset locked, like, hoping to be in the future. They're not sure if it will be in place by time of application. Can they still go ahead and apply in the hope that it would be? I think they're quite confident that it will be, or would that need to be in place by time of application?
To be eligible, it has to be in place at time of application.
Right, I
Because
suspect.
you're not an asset locked social enterprise when the application is submitted, you're technically ineligible. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so again, feel free to follow up with that if you need more clarity. So Adele was asking, I think she's had to pop off, but she's going to catch the recording. So just currently pre-trading, likely to start trading soon, maybe trading after application. So then can they apply for a wild card? So my suspicion was that if you're still pre-trading your application, then technically you're not going to have made a great deal of sales by the time you've come in or by the time you reach the final. So maybe it's potentially still a market testing phase, or do you want that to be just cut and dry? You need to be pre-trading at that time.
So I would say for that one, wildcard
Yes,
pre-trading,
sorry,
because there's
yes.
no guarantee you're actually going to be trading by the time it comes round to it. If you do get through first stage and you get to the final, there's no guarantee you're going to be trading. And if you do have any early sales, that's okay. At the time of submission, you're a pre-trading business.
Perfect. Thank you. I think Parag was just looking for a bit more clarity on the future edge, sort of future industries. So I think it's quite a wide scope there. I think maybe because you mentioned deep tech specifically, I wasn't too sure if that's the only. Um,
No, there was so many. I didn't put them in the slides. But if you go to the Scottish Enterprise website and look up the future industries list, I think there's about 10 different sectors in there. It covers a really broad spectrum of sectors. So just go to Scottish Enterprise, look up future industries, and they've got a whole section on what they're focusing on for the next 5 years, I believe it is in their strategy.
Perfect. Thank you. So I think that was everything that was left over. Oh, sorry, a few more coming in the chat there. So from Shweta is saying. Is problem validation through surveys and interviews considered meaningful traction? What level of validation is usually seen in successful early stage edge applications?
Sorry,
So
Jack, say that again. There was quite a
yep.
lot of information
I,
there.
I I think it's basically what kind of validation do you look for in early stage businesses? So if you've maybe not, done had a whole lot of customer engagement, or maybe to what extent do you need to validate your business at an early stage?
Okay, so really identifying if you don't have a business, if you don't have a customer segment, you don't have a business. So regardless of the amount of money you're asking for, it's all kind of relative. If you're asking for a £10,000 grant to build an MVP to go test it, you must show evidence that you've actually spoken to the customer segment that you've got in mind and you've gathered some early information. If you're applying for £100,000 in funding, you need to show some strong customer validation that you've spoken to the customer segment, they do exist, you've got lots of market research, you've done lots of investigation work, you've either spoken to them, you're selling, you've got contracts, a different level of validation needed depending on the amount of funding that you're looking for. But the bare minimum, you have to show the judges that there is actually a customer there.
Perfect, thank you. Ewan, just curious, does it make a difference showing slides, sort of screenshots of perhaps product solutions or service solutions in the video pitch, or do you just want a straight piece to camera?
No, you can add that in as well. You can do cutaways into a slide to show a product or service. Sometimes a visual can say 100 words for you a lot quicker than you can say it. So that's absolutely okay. So you can cut away and you can have a visual, but don't do your whole 3 minute talk behind slides. Come on camera, let the judges see you. You've got 3 minutes. You can probably do about 450 words in that 3 minutes. So if you wanted to kind of roughly script it out, that's the kind of amount of talking time you'd be aiming for at the pace I'm speaking at the moment.
Thank you. And Niall is looking, can you tick more than one special category box?
Yes, you can.
Perfect. So the venue for the live event, so the live pitching event, someone's asking there, that'll be in Royal Bank of Scotland, Gogarburn, RBS Gogarburn, the conference centre there. So again, that's where we normally have our live events. The award ceremony will also be there. It's sometimes in Glasgow, but it's there this time for this round. Michaela, for my business, the end users are different to the buyer. Would I include both customer validation for both? So
So I caught the first part. What was the second
I
part about the
so sorry,
buyer?
I think the end user is different from the buyer of the product. So would you include validation for both segments?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, if both of them are fundamental to your business model, you need some kind of validation from both.
perfect. I think now could you tell us a little more about what you expect in market size and opportunity? Is that the usual TM, SEM, and available research?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Whatever way you want to quantify the size of the market you're going after is absolutely fine.
Cool, thank you. So I think Jenna is asking, can you advise Ari the question about new business being owned? Oh, sorry, that was one I'd forgotten to carry over to Q&A. So I think Jenna was asking, So I wasn't sure of the clarity on this, just in terms of ownership versus new entity. So I think Jenna was asking that there's a business that's a new entity, but it's owned by another business that's older than 5 years old. So I wasn't too sure on the clarity around that against what the new entity means.
I think that'll need a direct discussion. Who did that question come from?
Jenna, is Jenna still in the chat?
Jenna, if you're there, what I'd ask you to do is just email info@scottishedge.com if you don't mind, and we'll
Yep.
set up a wee call and just discuss your structure if that's okay.
Perfect. Thank you. Um, and I don't think is there anything else I've missed? I don't think there's anything else I've missed. If anyone wants to turn on a mic and ask anything, please feel free to do so.
Or raise your hand if
Yep,
we've
or raise
missed
a
your
hand, yeah.
question. I don't see any raised
Hi.
hands,
Oh,
Jack.
there's Georgiana. Yep, when you go.
Yes, thank you so much for the presentation. It really answered most of my questions. I really have question around the £200,000 cumulative over 3 years after receiving the award. Is that applying over all categories, including pre-trading and trading? How is that? What's the expectation around that?
So if we take pre-trading, let's say, for instance, you know you're not going to start generating revenue until 2028, for example. So we would expect if you click the pre-trading correctly, you start trading from 2028. So 28, 29, and 30, that's where your 200,000 will be. If you want to get an award and you want to start trading immediately, or you are trading already, it's the 3 years right after the award is released, and that will be your trading history. And it is 200,000. That's what we're looking for you to aim towards. So that's the number we're looking to try and generate some growth from our awards, if that helps, Georgiana.
That was really useful. Yes, thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Perfect. Okay, so I think while we've got our hand up, I'll just go to one in the chat quickly because I think that came in just first there. Ailsa was just asking about the trading limit, but I think they've stated that they became a registered company in 2025, so that essentially is treated as a new entity from that moment on. So
Okay.
it really matters from Ben. So yes, still eligible.
Yep.
And I think Lily, sorry, you had your hand up.
Hey, yeah, it's just a follow up to my previous question. So about applying for the Social Enterprise Award. I wanted to transfer to a community interest company, but it looks like online it's going to take about 15 days, which is taking us just past the deadline. I don't know if there's any other way to kind of at least temporarily show that I'm asset locked. Like, I don't know if you can add clauses yourself or something like that, but yeah,
What is the state of your business at the moment? What structure is it?
it's just a limited company at the moment.
Okay. What I'd suggest you do, Lily, is if you email info@scottishedge.com, and either Jack or I'll have a call with you about this,
Okay.
because there's potentially a way of getting an application form in on the basis that when you get your CIC, you can submit that post. So let's have a conversation on this and look at this in a bit more detail.
Cool, thank you.
Yep, thank you. So I think there's just one in the chat there. Sorry, Eldon, come to you now in a second. The I'm not too sure what I'm picking up what you mean, Ewan. Sorry. So you've written how focus should have the Scottish element features and counts, e.g., total addressable market includes 70% England and 30% Scotland. I don't know if Kev, you've understanding that. I'm not sure if I've just
I don't know about 70% England and 30% Scotland is. I don't know if I've miscommunicated something, but whoever's got that question, you feel free to come off of mute and just clarify that.
yeah. So sorry, Eldon. Yes, when you go.
Thank you. I just wondered in terms of the funding ask, if you're looking at it to be broken down into those tranche percentages that you mentioned earlier. So if there's one large item as part of that funding ask, are you looking for it to be like the first tranche would be spent on this portion of the funding ask, and the second tranche would be spent on these things?
I'm going to make an assumption here that let's say you're going for £100,000 and you need to spend 80 grand on a piece of equipment. Then potentially we could release both tranches at the same time to make that purchase. The assumption would be that you would more than likely need, 50,000 to put a deposit on your purchase, start the process, and then you could draw down your second tranche at a later date, whatever that may be. But we can be flexible around that as well. We have done it in the past, and we do it by exception, and that's obviously depending on the business model, on the finances, and loan affordability as well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you. So just one from Christopher there. We have three directors, two based in Scotland, one in England. The business registered address, trading address is the English director's home address. Would it be acceptable to transfer the business trading address to one of the Scottish directors, or will that be a red flag?
If the two founders in Scotland, if one of those holds more than 50% of the shareholding, then they're the decision maker. But if the person with significant control lives in England, you would not be eligible in its current state.
Okay, hope that answers that. Thank you. Um,
Oh,
so
it's a 30-30-30 split, so it's an equal split. I think I just caught that comment there,
yeah,
so that should be fine.
yeah, cool. I don't see anything else. Again, feel free to raise a hand or turn on a mic. Oh, final one
Okay.
there. Sorry. Pauline, if I want to do more of a social enterprise, can I still apply homeless sector?
I'm not quite sure what that question means. Sorry, Pauline. If
I'm not
you want
sure.
to, feel free to come on and expand. Didn't quite understand that question, sorry.
Or if you want a more kind of a one-to-one on that, you can feel free to
Yeah.
email us and we can reach out to you. Um, no profit, maybe charity element. I mean, if it's a charity question, if charities are eligible to apply
Yeah.
to
I would
Edge.
recommend emailing us if you don't mind,
Yeah,
Pauline, and we can have a
we'll
chat on that one as
follow up.
well, please.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I've put the email in there, but yeah, I think you've got our email address from the site and things, so feel free to drop us a message. So yeah, I think that's it, unless anyone's got anything. Oh, nope, another one. My company currently operates in two business areas that generate revenue. I'm now planning to launch a third direction, manufacturing our own product. In the application, should I describe all existing business activities or focus only on the direction for which I am seeking additional funding?
If all three activities are under the one limited company, you have to explain where the revenue is coming from at the moment with your other two activities, but then break down what you need the edge funding for your new activity, would be my advice.
Okay, thank you. Another one. So my business is not registered yet. Still trying to get an accountant so I can open a limited company. I'm not sure what that means. I think maybe that's can I apply and while waiting. I think that maybe means.
You don't, as far as I'm aware, you don't need an accountant to open a company's house. You can do that in 15, 20 minutes. So that should be, you shouldn't be restricted with that. But if you're coming in for one of the main Edge awards, for 100,000, for example, you will need to have a limited company set up by the time you submit.
Perfect. Thank you. Not sure. Anything else? If there's nothing else, I think that's us. No, that's not us.
The more you ask, Jack,
I
the more they
know,
keep
I
coming.
know. I'm going to just call time. I think. Would ticking special categories remove you from the main edge, or would it be considered for it? So I think we did answer that earlier. So essentially, you'll be considered for main edge if successful, and then from those finalists, the appropriate winner for each special category will be chosen. So the
Yeah,
winner for those.
special category awards are additional on top of your Edge award.
Yep. I think no, that's just Jenna saying change the head. Yeah, don't we all? So I think I think
Well
that's
done,
it.
Jack. You think you were swimming there in questions, so well done to you.
I know, lifetime reading.
Yeah.
So and I think that's us. Again, if there's anything else, feel free to drop us an email. So this recording will be available from the competition section of the Edge website. So where the current registration link is now, that'll just be replaced by this video. So if you need to get access to it, you can find it there.
Okay, everyone. Thank you very much. Appreciate you joining. Appreciate the millions of questions. We're learning a lot as well. So thank you for that. Good luck with your application, and hopefully see you all, see you in the future.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Thanks very much.